What up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Rob Stapleton. We welcome each and every one of you boys and girls to the Rob Stapleton podcast. I'm here in the building with my partner in crime, my co-host, my brother, Mr. Marshall Brandon.
Hey, what's up, brother? How's everything, man?
Try the veal. That's the big line that they use at comedy clubs, man. We come from this world of stand-up. Why the fuck did we choose this, man?
I think it chose us. I think that's what happened. I think comedy chose us.
You know what's funny? Everyone has their backstory. You know what I mean? A lot of the black comedians come from some hustling background. Some shit where they were either selling coke, crack, weed, reefers, whatever era you come from. And pretty much most comics knew they weren't 9-to-5 motherfuckers.
Right.
And they wanted to get into something. They couldn't rap.
Yeah,
a lot of black comedians, partial rappers.
Right.
They were in the studio and the shit ain't work.
It ain't panning out.
And you got a lot of dudes who couldn't play ball. They could play ball, but only on a certain level.
Exactly.
So they cracked these microphones, and they jumped into this thing. And this is a beautiful thing, and it is. It's a beautiful thing. It's the beauty and the curse is what I call this. This is a business where you're judged every minute you're on the stage.
Every word counts.
People go to a show, the first thing they want to know, who's on that motherfucker? You know what I mean? You can't sell a night unless motherfuckers know who the fuck's going to be there.
Right.
Unless you got a bad motherfucker who's hosting, then you're going to get a portion of a crowd's going to come for that host. But the thing I'm trying to get to is, in this stand-up world, you could do 3 shows in one night.
Yeah.
And each show, a totally different reaction. What's your view on that?
That's one of the beautiful things about comedy. I remember working a regular job, and there was things about a regular job I used to hate, like
what? Like
the drive there, because you got to drive there the same way. I used to hate the carpet and the wallpaper at the job. I used to hate the clock. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's how I know I couldn't be at the same place every single day. You know what I mean? So, because comedy changed, just like you said, you be in the same building. Get a different experience every time.
Different experience. And the later the night, the crazier the crowd get. Because you got an 8 o'clock, you got a 10 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Those are the basic times. Some cities you got a 7:30, you got a whatever. So let's just go 8, 10, and 12. By the time you get to that 12 o'clock show, most shows have a two drink minimum. Yeah. Motherfuckers is trying to get ready in the car before they get there.
Oh yeah, pregame.
So that late show, they already blasted. These motherfuckers that are yelling out. You get all type of what do you see that goes on in that late show?
Oh, the late show is just that's where all the people that don't really work. You know, they you know what I'm saying? They like, yo, we going to the 12 o'clock show because they ain't doing nothing in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
It's a beautiful thing, man. This stand-up game, but along the way, let me ask you: do comics get along? What's your thing on this?
I think it's kind of like, comedy is a gladiator sport. You know what I'm saying? So while you do have comics do get along and they have the bonds and stuff like that, I definitely feel like it's a competitive sport.
It's a competitive sport. You know what I mean? It's a competitive sport. I give you that. It definitely is. It's like boxing. You get in there and get knocked out. You could blame that shit on the trainer, but you the one that took that right.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? You took that cross.
You the one that wasn't looking. That's
trying to blame
not looking.
Blame that shit on your trainer.
Right.
But in this game, man, you meet some good people, and then you meet some dope people. Then you meet some people like anybody that works at the post office. You got employees or coworkers that you work, but you don't fuck with them. You know what I mean? You work with them from that 9 to 5, and when you leave, you just leave each other. But then every once in a while, you meet some cool ass motherfuckers.
True
and that segues us into our guest that we have tonight.
Very cool motherfucker. Very cool motherfucker.
Very cool motherfucker. Yeah. We ain't going to talk about the royalty that he comes from because he's earned his own place and his own branding in this. So, we're not even going to touch on that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you know anything about comedy in the mainstream, if you know anything about comedy in just comedy in general, you know these 2 words. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome our special guest tonight, Mr. Tony Rock. Tony Rock in the building. What up to y'all?
Yeah.
What up, brother? How you doing, man?
It's good, brother.
Good? Man, life is good, man. Enjoying the week off. I was in Orlando last week. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina the week before that. I got a week off. I'm just gonna sit here with the baby and enjoy him and eat food and take him on walks in the stroller.
Good. All right, beautiful, Tony. So you just recently had a son, right? Your prince is he running things in that house? Is he running things?
He's absolutely the king of the ruler of the kingdom.
And I'm gonna tell you like this, Marshall. I see the son, nice looking little guy, but he got the rock eyebrows already.
Yeah.
Your son got the rock eyebrows already. As soon as they born at the hospital, the eyebrows come in. You go, that's a rock.
Yeah, he
that's
like,
a rock boy.
he like, yeah, that's him.
a rock boy.
That was Rob's first text. He was like, "Yo, congratulations on the baby. How you get your eyebrows already?"
It's a rock day. So Tony, man, take us back to it, man. So you out in LA now, and you from Brooklyn, man. So tell us about seeing the world through the eyes of being from Brooklyn.
Man, born and raised in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn. Seen the worst of people, seen the best of people. I saw how community comes together. You know what I'm saying? Because you got those old people in the neighborhood that still have that sense of community, that want to help raise your child. You know. Then you have the people that don't have as much, and that's not in just the hood, that's anywhere. When people don't have as much, and some people has even a little bit more, then they start forming that predator prey type mentality. You know what I mean? And that's what the hood is all about. And if you learn how to navigate that, which is growing up in Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, or growing up in Harlem, or growing up in Staten Island, or wherever we grow up, you learn how to navigate those dangers. You know what I mean? You got to be streetwise. You got to keep your head on a swivel. So I think growing up in the inner city like we did, like the three of us did, it prepares you more for the world than to grow up in the suburbs, because you didn't have to really walk in 3 or 4 different worlds simultaneously. You had to know how to interact.
Would you say that makes your comedy faster? Does it make it faster? Does it make you more aware? What would you say?
Yeah, both of those. It makes you more aware of what's going on around you as far as the audience is concerned, and it makes you faster to react. Your reaction time, because you were reacting to, in the hood, you're reacting to some real stuff. On stage, you're just reacting to a heckler or something falling on the ground or somebody walking in late, which isn't as dangerous as the real shit we had to deal with off the stage.
And
nice.
it definitely teach you how to spot some bullshit too. Yes. You know,
yes.
When you first get in, you're gonna see a lot of bullshit.
Yeah.
I guess that comes from taking the subway, going to a local bodega at 2 a.m. There's certain amenities we have living in New York that other cities just don't have. Especially like growing up in an apartment building, when you have people on top of you, underneath you, to the left and the right. People don't understand that awareness that comes. You know what I mean? Especially having multiple, growing up with multiple brothers and sisters, and it makes you move fast.
And growing up in an apartment building, you have so many different families. You know, like you said, over you, under you, to the left of you, to the right of you, that you kind of know a little bit about their business, but you don't want to put their business in the street because it's really not your business. But so you know what that creates? That creates that moment where you're in your house and you guys get to laugh about it in the comfort of your own home. And that's one of the first seeds of comedy. When you said, like, having a bunch of brothers and sisters like I do, we wouldn't talk about the next door neighbor to their face, but when we got inside the house, we knew what was going on. We was in the house dying, laughing, cracking jokes. So it forms that bond. Like, comedy has always formed that bond.
All right, that's dope. That's dope. So Tony, look, you came on talking about different cities. So you're back in the pandemic. You're working, right? You're working. You're back to work. Things are opening back up. Talk about that. Let's talk about how things are opening back up around the country.
You know what? Originally, I didn't want to go out at all. I was very fearful of the virus. I was very fearful. I didn't know, because people were dying. That's all I was thinking, was like, people are dying from this thing. Then I, heard about a few people that had it, and they were like, it wasn't that bad. But I was still careful because of the baby. I didn't want to get the baby sick. I was very fearful of the baby. And I kept getting offers the whole time. Clubs kept sending offers. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna not jump out there just so soon. And then I started doing the research, and numbers started going down in certain places. And, the vaccine was on the horizon. So I looked at the optimism of the country. Plus, at heart, we are stand-up comics. We live on stage. Our life is on stage. So I just wanted to get back to a little bit of living, for a week or two here and there. And then, I went out a few times, and shows were great. They're at a limited capacity. They wear masks. They do a COVID check at the door. So they try to minimize your danger, which I appreciate the clubs for doing. And once you get back on stage, it feels normal. I mean, yes, there's less people in the room, and they have partitions up between tables, but jokes is jokes. Jokes is jokes. Nothing changes that format right there. So once you get on stage and get the mic in your hand, it all comes right back to you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you know, I'm finding that, like, I've done a couple shows during the pandemic, but this is the first time that I've had this amount of time without performing, like gone. And it was crazy to feel some of those nerves that you felt early on in comedy when you were a younger comedian. But you know what I mean? And it's like the nerves kind of went up since you hadn't performed in so long. And it's, you know, it's easier to deal with being a veteran in comedy, but just feeling some of them nerves like I felt like when I was a younger comedian. That's what
I
Yeah,
feel
you know, when
good.
you first start out as, you know why? Because when you first start out as a younger comedian, like especially, or like all of us, I could say, when you start out as a younger comedian, you pretty much know you're not that good. So you're like, I'm just gonna get up here and see what happens. But now, after years and years of being very good, to have to start all over again, to, like, you know, get the engine going again, you know what good is like now. So now you're like, damn, can I reach that bar again?
Right.
Now that's a beautiful place to bring this back together. Me and Marshall would talk before we brought you in. The beauty of this game is that you could do multiple shows in one night at one venue. You know, that's what we mostly do on the weekend. We're at a venue. You're doing 2 shows, you know, Friday, 2 or 3 if they add a third one for Saturday. And the reaction that you get, it could be totally different from the earlier shows. And I would think that comics that are now working and back out, there's a lot of doubt where that improv shit is. Like, you have to remember your old material, but holding off on that new shit because you're not sure if it's working or not.
I'm diving in. I dove in. I'm trying to throw. I don't want to do no material from before the pandemic. It's a couple jokes I had. Like, I dropped a couple albums during the pandemic. It's a couple jokes I had that I want to hold on to.
That's some cocky shit. You heard that shit, Tony? He dropped a couple of albums. Did you hear this shit? It was some cocky shit.
They was only 15 minutes a piece, but I did drop them.
Shit.
But I want to. It's a couple of jokes on there that I want to hold on to. But it's so much happened. There's so much more stuff to talk about that I really want to move forward with my material. You know?
So how you feeling about that? Like, you know, they say if you drive and you haven't drove in a while, you get behind a car, it just comes right back to you. How did you feel jumping back on and getting back on the saddle?
It was like riding a bike, man. It's like soon as you start pedaling, you're like, okay, I know how to do this. But Marshall, you are absolutely right. Because of the pandemic, look what happened during the pandemic. It was the pandemic. It was all the Trump drama. It was all the stuff going on with not working and no stimulus check, and then whatever was going on in your neighborhood, and the stuff you were going through with your girlfriend being stuck in the same house for that long. So it was so much more material to write about during the pandemic that when most comics got back out there, it was like, you know what, I really don't want to talk about the old stuff because I was given so much material to work with. Now myself, I was trying to mesh the two worlds. Like, I had a lot of good stuff before the pandemic hit. So whatever stood the test of time, whatever wasn't outdated, I could still use that and mesh that with the new stuff. So it gave me even more material. I'm sure it gave everybody more material going back out.
That's true. That's definitely true. So what's some of your best cities that you like working at, man? What city do you go when you see it coming up and your agent hits you and you know you're going, you're like, ooh, damn. Or you go, yeah. What's your 2 cities?
Number one would be DC Improv. Like, whenever I see DC Improv, I get so amped up for DC Improv. I have done this once or twice before. I get the date, and I think it's too soon for me to, like, go back out because I might be doing some of the same material. So I'll say, hey, can you push that like another month or 2? Because I like the crowd so much. I don't want to disrespect them with the same material I did last time. I don't want them to be disappointed with what I give them, because every time I get up for the show. So I might push it a month or 2 just so they could get an all new set.
Right. So that's the DC. What is it about the DC Improv that you like? Like, when you in that room, you know, like they say in baseball, they say there's certain parks that a batter likes to be at because their batter's eye and they can pick up the ball better. What is it about the DC Improv that you fuck with?
DC Improv, it's a hitter's park. It's intimate, low ceiling. The audiences, it's the capital of the United States of America, so they're knowledgeable about everything. Whatever you want to talk about, they're gonna be. We got you. We read it too. We saw it too. We heard about it too. Also, it's Chocolate City. It's beautiful Black people with their shit together. I just like to talk to. I love to talk to an audience that looks like me, and they're dressed nice, and they're smart, and they have their shit together. It's just a beautiful thing to be on stage entertaining your peers. You know what I mean?
All right, so that's dope. That's dope. So let me ask you this, man, Marshall and Tony. Being comics, man, on this Rob Stapleton podcast, we unpack a couple of things. We like our people to get something to smoke, something to sip on, and you're gonna learn something about our guests and us as individuals that you may have not known before you tuned into the podcast. So with the good comes the bad. Marshall, what would you say was your worst show that you've had? And if you're a stand-up comic and you can't say that you had a bad show, you're full of shit.
Performance. The worst show I had was I was doing a military tour with in Germany. It was me, Big J, Dominique, Tony Roberts, right?
Next line.
And now this show, the promoter, the promoter, he would just add dates. You'd be over there 2 weeks, and you go over there to do 3 dates a week. So then he's like, yo, we got to do this pool party. And you like, what pool party, right?
Hold on. Let's let people know. People don't understand. Motherfuckers can't just set up a microphone and expect the show to happen. Because if it's not set up right, you're not a comedian. You're a motherfucker telling jokes.
Right.
So take it from there. Go ahead.
So now we get there, and I swear we are on the balcony. Under us, 4 Olympic-sized pools. People, a sea of people, military people, people from Germany and all of that. It's advertised as, it's a big sign that says Busta Rhymes, and then it has an apostrophe S, DJ. So Busta Rhymes wasn't there, it was Busta Rhymes DJ, right? And that's what it was advertised as.
So in big letters is Busta Rhymes.
Busta Rhymes in big letters with the apostrophe S and DJ on it. And I'm hosting, right? I swear, I had never been booed by that many people. Like, they did not want to hear no comedy. So he was like, hey, y'all ready for the comedy show? And everybody was like, oh, hell no, da-da-da-da. They was like, well, give it up for your host, Marshall Brandon.
They asked the crowd if they wanted. They said, no, well, you're going to get this shit anyway.
Right.
Coming to the stage is this first, motherfucker.
So I came out, and now I don't know. These people, they all in bathing suits and just, it's like they all in the water and everything. So I went out, and the first thing I said was just, man, I ain't know this many niggas could swim. I ain't know what else to say. When I tell you that they booed me so hard that my clothes was shaking, like in Michael Jackson when he do the and his shirt, that's how my clothes was shaking from the amount of boos I received right there. Wow. And then I just I was like, oh, I thought it was real niggas. Yo, where my niggas from down south? Where did start shouting out different.
You start smitching your material all around.
I didn't do no material. I just
shouted. Becomes your first joke.
I shouted people out and brought up Jay. And they booed him, and then they booed Dominique.
Jay Dominique got it too? Jay got it too?
Yeah, they booed Dominique. Dominique cussed him out. And then Tony Roberts came out and did the big dick song. Ain't nothing like having a real big dick. Turned the whole show around. Bodied the whole show.
Oh, yeah? So you pretty much had to do music to get that crowd.
You had to do something.
So
not
Tony,
what I did.
Tell us about what was your bad experience? I mean, coming in early, we all go through it.
Marshall, when they start adding shows, it's all bad, bro.
Right.
That's the money grab, right? That's the money grab when they start doing that.
Here's the worst bomb ever. You ready for the worst bomb ever?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yo, listen, I'm telling you, in the future, when you have comics on and you ask them the worst bomb ever, they're gonna all pale in comparison to this story I'm about to tell.
So this is the Six Flags of bombs.
This is the Super Bowl of bombs.
Let's do it. Rob Stapleton podcast exclusive here.
Yo, exclusive. Remember when the Uptown Comedy Club was on 125th Street?
Oh yeah. The original upstairs, the upstairs one on Fifth Avenue?
Downstairs.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Remember Harlem Week?
Oh yeah. That was like Puerto Rican. That was like the Puerto Rican parade, but for Harlem. Yes.
Okay. I got to paint the picture. So it's me. It's about 9 of my boys from Brooklyn. We on a train going uptown to Harlem for Harlem Week. We got pins behind our ear. We got pieces of paper because we just plan on getting so many numbers, right? We just we gonna get all the girls at Harlem. We walking up 155th Street. We walked past Uptown Comedy Club. I don't remember who the comic was that was outside barking, but they was like, yo, comedy show starting in 30 minutes. Comedy show, 30 minutes, get your tickets. Yo, comedy show, 30 minutes. Now, this is before I was professionally doing comedy, but I had already told my boys that I was gonna do stand-up. My boys all knew that I'm planning on getting ready to do stand-up. So one of my boys says to the guy barking outside, hey man, we'll all pay to come in. We will all pay to come in if you let my man go up. And he was like, shit, 9 niggas paying to come in? Your man's on the show.
Hell yeah, get that money.
So now I'm automatically on the show, right? It wasn't a comedy show, it was a talent show. So it was various talent.
Yeah, you know this is a couple of blocks down from the Apollo. So the people that are listening, this is club that's a couple of blocks down from the Apollos where the Uptown was. Go ahead.
Right. So I go, I got a half hour to kill before the show started. I walk around, I'm trying to think of funny stuff like, damn, that thing I said on the block the other day, that was pretty funny. But I can't say that because nobody knows the backstory. Wait, this is kind of fun. Wait, hold up. And I go, and I'm so confident. I go, you know what? I'll just go up there and riff. I'll just go up there and be funny. I'll just riff. No material written. What's Tracy's guy that passed away in the crash? Johnny Mac? Jimmy Mac?
Jimmy Mac.
Jimmy Mac was the host. May he rest in peace. God bless the dead. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Mac was the host.
Good dude.
He had like a blazer, like a
yeah, he used to dress up.
He had like a plaid blazer on.
Plaid blazer, loud, very loud colors.
Loud plaid blazer
with the hat on, with the hat.
Right,
yes.
Right. He had like the hat on, loud plaid blazer, yellow pants, white shoes, and he brings me up.
Right. So hold on. Let me stop you right there. The people, let me paint this whole picture for Tone. Jimmy Mack was he branded himself as the uncle, the crazy uncle at the cookout. The loud, crazy uncle. So you got all of that going on, and he's introing Tony to the stage. Go ahead, Tone.
Okay, now keep in mind, just like you said, the whole room knew him as the uncle. The whole room knew he hosted weekly, so the whole room had embraced this dude from years ago. So now my young cocky ass gets up there and thinks I'm gonna start my set by dissing him. So I was like, yo, look at this motherfucker outfit, man. He looked like he about to go play golf with Ralph Cramden or something. And the whole room was like, oh no, you didn't. No, you don't. Yo, and from the back, Jimmy Mack yells out, okay, that's what we doing? And I'm like, oh shit, I think I did the wrong thing. Yo, so they start booing.
Tony, I never heard you tell this fucking story. Go ahead,
yo,
man.
Listen, exclusive. They start booing. And I'm trying to shift the room now. So I go, yeah, man, they told me all the ugly bitches was gonna boo me. And they like, oh no, this nigga, they start going harder. They booing crazy. So I go, yep, I'm like, all the ugly bitches was gonna boo, and they start booing, and it's like one pretty girl in the front. I go, well, what you booing for, baby? You good? I'm like, oh, maybe you don't think you look good. Okay, that's why. And she's like, fuck you, nigga, get up. Yo, the whole room, I'm not talking, Rob, I'm not joking. The entire room, the wait staff, the people at the door.
It was like El Nino. It just was like a wave of it.
Yo, they boo me off the stage, right? I go back to my boys. My boys are sitting in the audience. I go, yo, let's get the fuck out of here, man. They're like, nah, nigga, we paid to get in. We want to see the show. It gets better. So I sit there and I have to watch the whole rest of the show with my friends. So now Jimmy Mack keeps coming up. He brings some girl up and she sings and she bodies the room. And he's like, oh man, that's talent. You see that, Tony? That's what we call talent. The next person comes up and raps. And he's like, yo, you're gonna make it in the rap music. You're gonna make it in rap music. Speaking of making it, Tony, yo, every act that went up after me, he called me back.
Oh shit.
Man. Yo, the show ends, we leave, we outside, people are coming out like, yo, that's the nigga right there, boo, boo, boo. I'm still walking up and down 125th Street because it's Harlem Week. Niggas is booing me, getting hot dogs like, boo. Yo, niggas is buying them name belts. You know, they had those name belts back in the day, like people, because all the shops are selling on the sidewalks. Everybody's outside. Niggas buying hats like, yo, how does hat look? Oh, that's that nigga right there, boo. Yo, we get to the subway going back to Brooklyn. This nigga's on the train like, boo, that's the nigga right there, boo. Yo, I got booed from Uptown Comedy Club up and down 125th Street on the train back to Brooklyn. It was the longest bomb ever.
Oh,
damn.
Shit, that's hilarious.
That is the Super Bowl of bomb.
That is the Super Bowl.
I remember when I was leaving, Tracy, you might have been there, Rob, because there was so many comics I saw in the room. I can't remember who was there, but I do remember Tracy came up to me. That's when he had the propeller hat.
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, man, you got confidence. Just, come to the workshop sometimes. We got a workshop. And I was like, I'm not fucking with 125th Street for like 5 years.
That's like dropping a chick off in the projects and you get robbed, and she be like, "Come see me tomorrow." You be like, "Bitch, we just broke up."
Like they beat me up outside your building.
We broke up, bitch. We officially broke the fuck up.
Worst bomb ever.
Wow,
ever.
Tony, that's a great fucking story.
Yeah, because the bomb's supposed to stop when you leave the venue.
Hey,
you
man.
ain't supposed. They ain't supposed to bomb you out.
Yeah,
to boo you outside.
That was a social media bomb before social media. That's what
right.
that was.
Imagine they had fucking TikTok or some shit like that when that happened.
Yeah, that was way before that. You mentioned, Tony, Tracy Morgan with the beanie Tracy Morgan. People don't realize how funny that Tracy Morgan was. You know what I mean? That when Tracy was finding his voice, and that Tracy with the beanie and the biscuit, Tracy was. I remember my bomb came from up at Comedy Connection up in Boston. I was up in Boston, and my man John Smooth had just killed. They do comedy I think Sundays was the night. Sunday was the big black night up there. Boston, it got to be the black night. So my man John Smooth, he was my opener, my professional opener. So he went up there and killed. So I think I was extra cocky, first of all. I went up there still early in my shit. I only had maybe a solid 20 minutes, but back then 20 was like 40. You know what I mean? So I went back. It was me, JB Smooth, and Tracy Morgan on the show. We were all fighting to go on early, because back then it was all about going on early and fucking with the chicks. You know what I mean? Get off and then start fucking with the chicks. So JB goes up there, fucking destroys. Tracy goes up there, destroys. I think they had a couple. I think Patrice was security guard at the club at the time. Patrice O'Neal was, I think, security at that time. Then I go up. They put a couple of guest comics, and I go up. Motherfuckers is looking at their checks. Motherfuckers is playing spades. Uno. I think I saw the first deck of Uno ever. All tight. I think one dude had a George Foreman grill. Just all type of shit going on. But me, like you, felt like I was going to change this. There's something in us that makes you think you're going to be able to change what the fuck is going on. Like, nah, I'm going to get this shit off. And another part of me was like, don't go on if you don't have to. But I went on, and I did so, I thought I was doing okay, till I saw something come flying past me, and I thought it was a quarter. I was like, that was a big-ass quarter. And it was a fucking, somebody threw an ashtray at me. And when I turned around, the ashtray was going around in circles, and it landed. I was so fucking heated. I just grabbed the mic stand and ran into the crowd. That was the end of the show. I guess I kind of knew if I did that, they were just gonna end.
They were like, all right, stop. Everybody,
they were just gonna end the shit. And that right there was my worst. And I've learned to say, fuck whatever everybody else is doing before you. Change the energy, or just don't go on at all. Talk your way out of the shit. Talk your way out of the shit. That was like my worst shit, man. So Tony, with the good comes with the bad comes the good, man. So you tell us about your first show, man. So look, we all do this shit to get TV shows and movies, right? You I believe your first show that you were was your Will Smith produced, right? All of us, right? Yeah. How did that come about?
Man, like I always say, man, all of the good stuff, I would say 90% of the good stuff that has happened to me in my career happened from me just keeping my ass on stage. That's why I stay on stage as much as possible, because good stuff always happens when I just stay on stage. I just focus on stand-up, and then opportunities come from it. You know what I'm saying? So I was literally, I was on stage at the Laugh Factory in Los Angeles, and the host came up to me and said, "Hey, man, this lady, Monica Swan, you know who she is?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not familiar with her." And they're like, "Yeah, she's a casting director. She wants to talk to you." And I go back downstairs, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? I'm Tony Rock." And she says, "Are you auditioning for anything right now? Are you going out for stuff?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I went out for something like 2 weeks ago, and I go on auditions here and there." And she's like, "I just saw your set, and I'm casting for this new Will Smith pilot, and I think you fit this character to a T. And I would love to have you come in and audition." And I went in, and long story short, you go to the first audition, and there's every young black actor in Hollywood is in that hallway. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You got the cats. Look, you see the dynamics. You got the cats that are real trained actors. They got their sides, and they're like, "And then I said, and then I'm going to say," and you walk away from them, you know what I'm saying? And then you got the nervous motherfuckers that's trying to mask their nervousness by trying to be playful in the hallway, like, yo, son, I'm about to go in here and get this part. Y'all niggas can go home now. You're like, he nervous. So you go find a quiet corner, you just keep to yourself and you get ready. You know, you mentally prepare. And when I took the audition, my first thought was, I'm a realist. I'm like, I'm really looking at the big picture most of the time. I look at the big picture with very many things most of the time. And I thought to myself, you know what? At the very least, I'll get to meet Will Smith, because I never met him at the time. And the reality is that, you know, they're only going to pick maybe 0.5% for the callback. You know what I mean? But I'm going to be as prepared as I can be, but you never know. You never know what they like. You never know what they don't like. You can't control the dynamics of the audition. Do your best, but there's always something that comes into play that you had no control over. So I always do an audition and I leave the room and forget about it. I don't want to talk about it no more once I leave the room. So I go in and Will Smith is sitting right there as soon as I walk in the room. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
Wow.
And I don't know if you've ever been to Overbrook offices. Have you ever been to Overbrook offices in LA?
No.
Overbrook offices looks like they based the movie Boomerang on Overbrook offices.
Oh, wow.
All beautiful Black women walking around the office. All from the assistant to the receptionist to the corner office, beautiful Black women. So I go in and I'm nervous.
It looked
but I'm
like a
no,
Tyler Perry movie is what you're saying.
Exactly. So I'm nervous, but you know what? I can control my nervousness by being funny, right? So I'm like, you know what I'll do? I'll go in the room and I'll say something funny to make them laugh. That'll put me at ease.
Right.
So I go in. First thing I say, as soon as I see Will, I go, hey man, Will Smith, pleasure to meet you. Listen, whether or not I get this part, I just want you to make me a promise. Just promise me that I can come back up here next week and hang out in this lobby, because there's so many beautiful women in here. I'm sure my wife is probably working in this office, and everybody busts out laughing, and the room is like kind of like, you know, settling down. Like you said, change the energy. You just said it, change the energy, right? So everybody starts laughing, and then Will goes, you know what? He takes the sides from the casting director. He goes, I'll read with you. And Will reads with me.
Oh, shit.
And when I finish, I'm like, thanks guys, take care, you know, have a great day. And I'm walking out and Will has my headshot in his hand like this, and he's looking at it and he goes, man, Tony Rock, and puts it over there in the pile of like, we might bring him back. You know what I mean? And that's what it was. I shifted the energy in the room, but I was also prepared as I possibly could be. And, you know, call back after call back after call back, and boom, I got it.
That's dope.
That's crazy, man.
Hell yeah. And I mean, and to walk right in there and see Will Smith is like
big dog right there.
Like you would think that you like after, like down the line you'll meet him, but to like right at the beginning, that's
yeah. And you know what? When the final audition, when it got down to the final audition, like if you get this one, you got the part. I got there. It was like my audition was at I think 10 o'clock, and I got there at like 9:15 because I didn't want to be I didn't want to be late, and I was scared of LA traffic. So I got there like 9:15, and the only other person there was Will Smith.
Wow. Oh wow.
And we sat out in the hallway. He was like, yo, you early? I was like, yeah, I didn't want to take a chance with the traffic. And I just wanted to get here early so I could just sit and, you know, get ready. And he was like, well, nobody else is here yet. So he literally sat in the hallway with me and we talked for 45 minutes. We talked about the Sixers versus the Knicks. We talked cheesesteaks versus hot dogs and pizza in New York. We talked Coney Island. We talked.
Build it while all along, you don't know that, you didn't even notice that this chemistry is forming. You know what I mean? This chemistry, natural, organic chemistry is just forming. And he's the executive producer in his mind going.
Here's the thing that he said that really fucked me up.
What's that?
Everybody else started showing up. The network people started showing up and they went in the room. The producers started walking in the room. And then they came out. I was like, Will, whenever you're ready. And Will got up and said, all right, I'll see you inside. And he stopped, he turned around. He was like, yo, you nervous? I said, I was a little bit nervous, but I sat here and talked to you for damn near an hour, so I'm good. And he said, well, I don't know if this makes you less nervous or more nervous, but you're the only person we brought back for this part. So you would really have to fuck it up not to get it. And I said, look, I said, nigga, now I'm really nervous.
Damn.
Oh,
that's
shit.
a great story right there.
That's like having a chick in a hotel and then the door's knocked. She said, oh, that's my husband. You like, motherfucker, bitch, now I'm nervous. So Tony, man, this is what this Rob Stapleton podcast is about. It's great fucking stories, man.
No.
Man.
You want to talk about real nervous? Totally unrelated to what we talk about. I had a chick in my crib one time. I was pursuing this chick for months, Rob. Months I was pursuing this chick. Got into the crib, had the liquor ready, the wine, the Moscato, whatever fuck she drank, had it in my bed. And I usually, this was old, you know, single tone. Every once in a while, I give a chick a pass. Like I don't try to fuck immediately. because I wanted to feel comfortable with me, right? So shorty in the bed, I'm just chilling, we cuddling. And she's like, yo, what's up? And I'm like, what do you mean, what's up? And she's like, yo, you're not doing nothing. And I said, nah, usually, I said, you know what? I don't really be pressed for the first visit. I try not to, really fuck on the first visit. I want you to just at least be comfortable. And she said, yo, I don't got no time to be waiting. I need to see if the dick is good right now. Now that made me nervous. Now I was nervous.
Oh, you got that aggressive one. She's like, what we gonna do?
I was like, come on. I was like, come on, baby. This is it.
Oh, shit. Yo, that's crazy, man. But check this out, man. So look, that's a crazy story with Will, how that happened. Now, we all get into this game, and there's different levels of how this shit happens. I'm going to tell this story, then I'm going to bring it back. So I'm going to start here, then I'm going to come back to here. Me and you've been friends for years. You know what I mean? Respect your craft, man. Tony, you one of the dudes I've really never heard a bad word about. You're respected across the game, holding your own. Funny, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes you hear, this motherfucker hack, blah, blah, blah. No, Tony, I've never heard that word come out of your mouth. But there's a certain plateau that we hit sometimes, and you go, damn, I can't wait for this to happen. There was a time when we come from Def Comedy Jam, right? And there was a time where All Def, when they was coming back, is All Def Comedy. And everybody, they started doing showcases all around the country. You know what I mean? Each city, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, it was big. It was the rebirth of Def Comedy Jam. So I'm going to talk about this, then I'm going to go back to the original Def Comedy Jam. And everybody knows who the original host of Def Comedy Jam was. It's Martin Lawrence. Everybody know that first year where Martin was, where he went right after that. When they brought Def Comedy Jam back, which was the original people, which was Russell, it was Stan Lathan. They handpicked who, they couldn't fuck this up. They had to come back and be like, who's gonna be our guy to put this branded where we need this to be? And they chose you, Tony. And you became the host of that. Everybody was happy for you. I know you went in. I know if you wasn't a vegan, you was probably a vegan for 2 weeks leading into that shit, whatever you had to do at that fucking time to get it in. And then what happens is right before this shit Russell goes through these problems. Russell gets hit with this shit. Tell me what goes on in your own selfish reasons or just in general, because when that happened with Russell, it knocked a lot of the momentum of what was getting ready to happen with that. Tell us from your eyes how you felt as this aired on HBO.
Yo, that's first of all, great question. Great question. I don't talk about it a lot, but you, my man, like you said, and I want to say one thing before I answer your question, if I may. You know how somebody's a really good friend because you don't remember when you met him. You just go, yo, he was always my friend. I don't really remember when we met or where we met. I just know we've always been friends. As far back as my memory goes, that dude's been my man. And that's the relationship I have with you. I don't remember where we met. I don't remember how we met. I just know that we met, and it's been boom.
Always been cool.
Marshall, I remember I met you in Boston at Faneuil Hall.
No, we met at Comic Strip.
Yeah, you was auditioning. You was trying to get in.
I came and sat down at the table with you and started talking to you.
Right.
That's when we met.
I want to come back to that. I want to come back as we unpack the early parts of it. Yeah, make sure we come back to that. I want to come back.
Okay, but let me address the All Def stuff. I have to. Yo, Rob, very few people know this. So much momentum was knocked off of me was taken from me when all of that stuff, not taken from me, but there was so much momentum that was slowed up when that happened.
Yes.
The hour special was being talked about. We were taking meetings. We might have even had a few offers on the table. The All Def was going to be, we was going to tour with it, just like Def Jam did. There was going to be another season of HBO. HBO had already signed off on another season.
Already signed off. This happened. I remember this happened like 5 days before it was airing. It was like the Sweet 16, the Final Four of us in the comedy world. And that week, the press releases came out, and it was toxic almost for HBO.
Let me tell you, HBO had already signed off on another season. So I would have had that. I would have had another season. I would have toured off of that.
Yes.
We was going to tour with All Def. I would have did the hour special. It just, But you know what? It's like I read a meme one time that said nobody cares, work harder. So I could go around telling this sob story all the time, but nobody really cares. Work harder.
Gives a fuck.
I was right there. I was literally like about to pull myself up into that upper echelon, like, yo, Tony Rock is here.
Yes.
And it knocked me all the way back down, but nobody cares. You got to work harder.
Yes.
And nobody has done more for my career in the last pre-pandemic, in the last 5 years before the pandemic than Russell Simmons. That dude fought for me, even when people suggested other names for All Def. He was like, nah, Tony Rock, I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that. Yo.
And Tone, he was setting you up to win. He was giving you that alley-oop. All you needed to do was catch it and dunk it. If you wanted to do it from behind over your back, that was on you. But he has set you up because he has set you up at that Man's Theater comedy joint with him and Drew was doing out there, and you was being that host. Yo, that room out there, you talk about that crowd out there, you talk about some beautiful motherfuckers sitting in that crowd. Must have looked like that office you was talking about with Will Smith. That shit was distracted. You be on stage and you looking at this crowd, you go, there goes the bitches from my pornos that I watch. There go the bitch from the movie that I like. There go the bitches from Moesha. There goes blah, blah, blah. It's crazy. It's fucking phenomenal.
Man, yeah, man.
Just go up there and make, I'm not trying to sit here and suck you off. I'm telling the fucking truth. You will go up there and make this shit look so easy. I was sitting in the crowd. I go, is he making this shit up? Or is this his material? And lots of times, because I'm good off of my head with some improv shit, it was some shit that you would just make up off of the people in the crowd. And that let me know how fucking confident you was with just your being in a moment. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? Like, that's why I said early on, I'm going to start another room. I'm going to start another weekly room, because it developed so much material. Literally, I would just write a premise on I would write like 2 or 3 premises on a napkin, go to the show, start the show, with written material, get the show going, bring up the first comic, and then go look at the premises like, oh, I'm gonna try this one next. And just really riff it, just try to see what I can find. So much material, man. That's why I got to start another night, because I think number one, I think LA needs another urban night like that, how you described it, like just pretty motherfuckers and dope ass comics with a DJ, just a vibe. LA needs another vibe like that. And I want to do it for myself to cultivate more material.
Nah, that's dope. That's what I feel like what I do at Salsa con Fuego in New York.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we get spoiled. And tell me if you agree with this or not, Marshall. Sometimes we get caught up in a part where we start off in these rooms that are fairly hard. And then we get to the part where you build your name brand, and then people are paying to come see you. And then it's almost like shit is given to you. And a lot of comics just show up and they pretty much just look at me for 45 minutes. They probably only gave you 15 minutes of some real shit, and the real shit was fluff. But you get a lot of that in these mainstream rooms. But when you get back to the basics, back to the boom bap, I call it boom bap, you got to bring it, man. You got to bring it. And I see a lot of comics get away from that. And you got to get what helps you fasten your shit up and tighten your shit up. You got to add a little sofrito, a little garlic, whatever, to get that shit. And that's what I'm doing. I can't wait to get back to work at Salsa con Fuego, because like what you was talking about, all that old shit is out. It's about throwing that new shit, falling backwards and knowing they're going to catch me. You know what I mean? And believing. And when I hear you say you can't wait, it's great to hear that, man. I love to hear that, because I feel the same exact way with my one room on the East Coast, that I want that stage to be on fire. I want it to be a night out on Tuesday, man.
I remember the first time I went to Salsa con Fuego. This is when I was still hosting All Def. I went to Salsa con Fuego that Tuesday. I said, oh, damn, Rob, you got the number 2 hottest room in the country.
You know, that
and then I told,
comes from,
and
man.
then I told Teray he had the number 3 room. I was like, yo, All Def is number 1, Salsa con Fuego is number 2, and Warm Daddies is number 3.
Yeah, Warm Daddies.
Teray was like, hey, brother, I'll take it.
It's like after you do Salsa con Fuego and you do Warm Daddies, that shit is like doing a nice green room. You know what I mean? That shit is just like, it's like, boom, boom, it's like right there. Yeah. But yo, so I come up in the Uptown Comedy Club, man, the Brown Brothers. I salute those brothers to this day for the rawness of what they had. They didn't have tables where people sat around. It was rows of chairs. There was a host named Monteria Ivy that would just And when you came out on stage, there was people. The first time I ever seen a crowd where people sat on a stage. So you came out like Gladiator, and you like, "Oh, you're not detained." Motherfuckers were sitting all around you, and I remember I auditioned. It was a New Jack segment that me, JB Smooth, and Kenny Williams had to perform. You had to do 5 minutes, and 5 minutes back then seemed like 20.
Yeah, like an hour.
Yeah.
It seemed like an hour. And I remember that New Jack segment. I'm getting like almost goosebumps thinking about this shit right now, because it wasn't a lot of black rooms then. So you knew you weren't going to go back on until like another month or 6 weeks. So you had to become a regular right there. And I remember the New Jack segment used to be right after the intermission. So I remember being at the intermission. I remember Kadeem Hardison, what's that dude? Or Kadeem
Yeah,
Hardison?
Dwayne Wayne.
And Marco Jamal Warner walking in. And John Larragamo.
Leguizamo, I think.
And they all came in, and I remember being nervous, just walking like a scene from a Spike Lee movie. You know the Spike Lee movies where he just be floating like right before they shoot his ass. And I was just in this fucking zone, and they were coming over to say, "What's up, man?" Like say what's up to me. I was just like in this zone. And then JB went up there, did his thing, and then Kenny, and I came up there, and I put the hardest 5 minutes I had, and I fucking killed. And I felt like that was when I was birthed into this comedy shit. It was so fucking, I can't even describe it, how real it was in there. And when you got off, that's the first time you seen your face on flyers, because all the promoters were at these shows. So then they would book you, and you would be on flyers, and your face ain't never been on a flyer before. So when you saw your flyer on the floor, you actually want to curse bitches out for stepping on. Who fucking stepped on my face? Who the fuck stepped on my face? It was such an exciting time at that time, man. And then Bob Sumner had a room in Jersey called the Peppermint Lounge, and Bill Bellamy was hosting that. So he was literally like how Russell had you getting ready for ADD by doing a man's theater. He had Bill getting ready at the Peppermint Lounge. So, and this shit was huge. This shit was like an airport. That's how big it was. And somebody like Shaq would come in, and nobody would be looking at the stage. They'd be looking over towards Shaq, and you had to fight for yours on the stage, man. I miss those days. What I'm trying to say of the rawness. What's your memories of rawness of comedy?
Oh man, early when I first started coming to New York doing I don't know the Manhattan Proper. I did the Peppermint one time, you know what I'm saying? Those rooms like that, like Footprints, you know what I mean? Like where you really had to just go and just fight, you know what I mean? Fight for a laugh. Like it was more about you getting the attention and keeping it than it was even just about like how, you know, I mean, like you had to be better at that.
And it was dangerous at the same time, because back then I didn't know who Haitian Jack was. Haitian Jack, you talk about the Manhattan Proper, 217th Street, Linden Boulevard. Haitian Jack owned the barbershop outside. And I remember getting there early for the shows, and everybody be outside. And then when the show would start, comics, the first two comics, nobody was in. And all of a sudden everybody came in, and you realize Haitian Jack and Tupac came in. So it was like, oh shit. And at that point, you couldn't snap on the wrong person in the crowd, because if you did, you had to see that motherfucker outside. South side of Jersey didn't fuck around. Queens didn't fuck around. So that was the realness shit, man. Footprints and all of that shit. But I feel the Bill's character, because I seen people like Bill Burr. People like Bill Burr came up through doing the black. Rich Voss came up doing the black.
What room I remember when we talk about like that type of energy was the Boston on a Sunday night.
Yes. There you go.
So I would perform at I wouldn't even perform, I'm lying. I would go sit in the cellar and watch the show. I wasn't a regular at the cellar at the time. I would just sit in there hoping that, you know, maybe one day Esty would give me 5 minutes to try to audition to get in, to become a regular. And Patrice, may he rest in peace, would every blue moon, Patrice would be like, "Hey, Tony, give me a walk." And he'd be like, "I'm going around the corner to the Boston, just give me a walk." And we would just walk and chop it up on the way to the Boston. And we would get to the Boston. And Rob, did you run the Boston? It was like, who ran the Sunday night?
That was Talent and Will Sivens.
So I would see Talent, Will Sivens outside. I would see all of the Tracy. I would see.
Yeah, I would be there, but I wasn't the host.
Yeah, I
But
would
I would
see
definitely,
all of y'all. I would see all y'all outside just chopping up, laughing, having a good time. And Patrice would walk in the room, and I'm talking about, like you said, people sitting on the stage. It was people sitting on the stairs, like the wait staff had to squeeze past the people because they was just packed in there. And Patrice would just go in, and Patrice always, the thing I will never forget about Patrice was he exuded confidence. He had a quiet confidence about him. He was never braggadocious. He would just look around like he knew what it was. And he would wait and go up, and I'm talking about he would destroy the room. He would destroy the room and walk out and be like, yo, Tone, you ready? And we walk back around to the cellar. And he would say, hey, man, I just do that every once in a while. Every once in a while, you got to go around the corner. And he was saying go around the corner, referencing to Boston. But it meant so much more to me. It meant like going around the corner to the urban rooms. That's how I took it. He said, every once in a while,
No, that's
you gotta go around the corner.
what he meant. Exactly what he meant.
He said, every once in a while, you got to go around the corner and show niggas shit ain't sweet.
Right.
And I never forgot that. I never forgot that. So every once in a while, that's why you call and say, yo, Salsa con Fuego, I'll be there. I'll be there. Because I know it's not a typical comic strip, comedy seller. It's a different kind of energy. But I'm like, let me show niggas I could play in this forum too, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I do that. I used to do the Tuesday at Salsa, Wednesday at Warm Daddies. Because I was like, I'm gonna show niggas I could play in this forum too.
Nah, you got to do that. It's called balance. You know what I mean? And Patrice could have done just all black rooms if he wanted to. That's one thing. When he did the mainstream or the white rooms, whatever the fuck we want to call them, he didn't change who he was. He remained who he was. He didn't go to one room and change his voice to start talking one way in that room. He kind of, what I dug about the dude is he kind of wanted to piss you off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Patrice is tough, man. He's one of my favorite comedians.
He kind of wanted to piss the crowd off to earn his laugh. You know what I mean? He wanted you to look at yourself and tell you lying to your fucking self.
And that's how he was conversational as well. If you just talk to him like on the phone, sometimes this is back like house phones. I would like talk to him sometimes, and it was just like he would just go talk to you like, yo, break that fucking, get that wall out the way, stop with that facade, be the real person, like, you know what I mean? He always talked directly to you, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, you know, with that said, Tony, you know, with this era that we're in now, you know, we're in this era of people building their own brands now. You know, you said it well. You would sit in and earn your own stripes at a comic strip or at a comedy cellar, which is more, comedy cellar is like a fraternity. You know what I mean? Right. In order to sit at the table, you had to be, you know, blah, 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 earn your stripes. And with that said, how do you feel what's going on now with the internet comics? You got a lot of internet comics who build their brand and they earn shit without even really being on stage. And then they end up selling out shows. I have my views on that. I'm going to hear both of you guys' views on what you think about internet comics. It's been around for a minute now.
I have a long answer. So Marshall, you want to go first?
Well, I feel like this. I feel like everything, like comedy, like everything else, it goes through like it's evolving, you know. And so back before we had the internet, we didn't have these comedians. We got them now. I think that it's important. I mean, they just trying to monetize their fame that they got off the internet, but it's like more power to them. To me, I know it's comedians who like, man, fuck the black. I know a lot of internet comedians who really, you know, work to put that time in on the stage and everything like that. I believe that them reality show, whatever they have that draws people to them is their talent. And so it's like, if they can go sell out a room, I'm not even mad. You know what I mean? I'm a book for what I could make out of this situation. So they're making more than me or whatever. And I feel like, you know, like I've been doing comedy longer, or I'm funnier or something like that. It's, you know, it's whatever. You know what I mean? I more power to them. You know? So that's how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So first I want to address two things you said, Rob. You said the comedy cellar was a fraternity. Comedy on a whole is a fraternity. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you at the comedy cellar, whether or not you sitting at that one table in the back of the comedy cellar, or you waiting to go up at Dangerfields, or you at Stand Up New York, this whole thing is a fraternity. Mm-hmm. But I understand what you're saying about that back table. That back table was like the mafioso. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's a good analogy.
And you said I sat and watched, you know, the shows because I wanted to get to, you know, try to waiting to get into the clubs, because it was very important to me. You already said it in my intro. following behind who I'm following behind, it was very important to me. It's always been important to me, and it always will be important to me that I have the respect of my peers. I never wanted to be looked at by any comic as, oh, he just got co-signed in. He didn't really do the Bringer shows. He didn't do the Barker shows. He didn't bark for an audience. He didn't do Uptown. He didn't do the Boston on a Sunday. Like, I never wanted to be looked at like that. To this day, I still do the rooms that people say are tough. I still go here and there because I never want to be that guy that people say, he just got co-signed in. That's very important to me. I never want to lose respect with my peers. Now to answer your question. The internet guys, there's two trains of thought here. So at first I was a little closed-minded to it because I didn't think it was traditional stand-up. What we do, written, performing, improv, verbal, in the room. I was like, this is what we do. If you're not doing this, you're not doing what we do. Then I saw that what these young guys were doing was they was capitalizing on something that didn't exist when we started, which was social media. That social media, there was no social media when we started. So for us, social media was word of mouth. Yes, somebody would say, yo, I saw Rob Stapleton. The next person would say, I went to see him too. You was right. Two people would tell two people, and so on and so on and so on. So what these guys did was they figured out, okay, I can perform the material in front of my camera, make it a skit, put it on social media, and reach the entire world. Exactly. This shit could be in China. This shit could be in China in an hour. It could be in India in 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Cultivating a fan base so that when I do try to do stand-up, get in the room to do stand-up, I'm coming from a position of power that the booker will say, you know, this guy got 2 million followers on Instagram. I'm sure he's going to sell some tickets. Yeah. So I'm not mad at that. My only issue is if you're going to do all of that over there, if you're going to put all that work in over there, we expect you to put all the work in over here too. Don't disrespect this portion of it because this is the part we love. So if you want to come into this club, if you want to sit at this back table, so to speak, you should be able to sit at this back table based on the work you did over here, not this work.
That's real.
No, that's real shit. Like I say, Tony, that was well said. I felt that also. I'm not gonna lie, I hated on the internet comics at first too. I felt like they skipped the line. You know what I mean? You know, because let me give you an analogy real quick. We know bad chicks that live in every city, but when you get to Atlanta and you go to a club or lounge in Atlanta or Houston, all chicks are bad. Yeah. So
at
you
1
see
in the
a chick
afternoon
that's mad because she ain't getting in, or there's a whole other line of bad chicks right here that are VIP chicks to you, just a regular chick down here in Atlanta or Houston. You know what I mean? So
I love your analogy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, so I feel with in the comedy world, I feel like, you know, if everybody could get 1 million views, they would do it. I had to educate myself to realize there's a skill to getting 1 million viewers. They may not be the most loyal viewers, but they're viewers. And I had to analyze this shit and realize we're in the entertainment business. This business isn't about the funniest motherfucker. If you're still thinking it's about you being the funniest, it's the entertainment business with how can a producer or a company use you to bring you in to help them grow bigger. Right. That's what it's about. You know what I mean? And as being the OG in this, I didn't realize that at first. And I have
you know what? I look at it. I look at it like if you got a million, like you said, 1 million viewers, 1 million followers or views, right? You get 1 million views. I always look at it percentage-wise. So when I sell T-shirts on the road, right? I actually started a T-shirt line, and I sell the T-shirts on the road. I have them on my site as well. But I look at it percentage-wise. If I do a room and the room is sold out at 300 people, I don't think, oh man, if I can sell 300 T-shirts, I think, yo, if I get 10% of them to buy T-shirts, that's pretty good. You know what I mean? Right. Same thing with getting with social media. If you get 1 million followers, that's great. If I could get 25% of them to come to my show when I'm in their city, I'm selling out everywhere I go. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then my money's going up because the rooms are packed. So it all feeds. It's all about this. It's all about just capitalizing in every lane so that you monetize it all. So if you can get 1 million views on social media, that's going to affect your money. Your money's going up on the road. If you start selling out on the road, your money's going up on the road. If you constantly writing and have great material and a great show, your money's going up on the road. Yes. So it's all about, at the end of the day, we're entrepreneurs as well as entertainers. You know what I mean? Yes. So we want to make sure we capitalize off everything. As far as social media, We just got to make sure, and I said this before, we got to make sure, Rob, like me, you, and Marshall, we look at social media and we think, oh, I can't do that stuff the kids are doing. I don't want to do that. I don't want to play myself. We got to figure out what our lane is in social media. So you got to make,
yes, you have to find out what your lane is.
You got to create a social media lane for you. And I got to create a social media lane for me. And they're both going to look different. They're going to look entirely different. But we're playing to our strengths. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
No, that's well said, man. That's definitely how I feel about that, man. It's like, this is a changing of the guard. I remember, we consider Snoop Dogg an OG, but when he first came into the game, we were like, yo, who this young dude talk about 187 or undercover? I know it with the braids and all of this, it changes. You take somebody like Steph Curry in the NBA shooting all these threes, you go, damn, Reggie Miller shot threes, but he didn't shoot that many. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. So the game changed. It used to be about centers. It used to be about Patrick Ewing and Alonzo Mourning and all of that. It's about the guard now. You know what I mean? It's the changing.
Shooting the three was a novelty. Shooting the three was a novelty. It was get the ball in the post to Pat. If you don't have it, Pat, kick it out. Shooting the three was a novelty. Like, oh shit, he could hit from that far. Good for him. But it was all about the paint.
Exactly. And now I wanted to use that as a segue before we get you up out of here. I got to, we got to talk some sports, man, because you're a real big you're a real big boxing guy. I know you're a real big boxing guy. There's some of us that are big in it. Naeem is a big boxing guy. Russell Peters.
I ain't know Naeem was in the boxing.
Naeem big. I bumped into him.
Naeem big boxing dude.
Yeah. Russell Peters, I bumped into, and Russell was always like with a rapper. So whenever I bump into him, he's with Melly Mel or Lord Finesse or somebody. He's a big...
You know what's crazy? Can I give Russell his props for this? Can I just give Russell Peters props right now for no apparent reason? Russell Peters, when he goes on the road, he always takes an old school artist on the road to him to open the show, and he pays them handsomely.
Yeah,
they get a check. They get a check that they haven't seen since they had the buggy eye bins.
Yes.
But he pay, you know why he does that? Because he pays homage to the guys that inspired him when he was a kid listening to hip hop back in the day.
They got him through his teenage years. That hip hop. It gave him something to look up at, and that's his ode to hip hop right there.
And how dope is that? That as an entertainer, you can afford yourself the luxury of having your favorite old school rapper on your show, and you can afford to pay them what you want to pay them, not what the booker says they're gonna get. But you go, yo, I'm gonna give them twice that much or 3 times that much, just because I love what he did for me, from my childhood.
I love that. He does more for hip hop than what other rappers do for hip hop.
Exactly.
Get them that check. What I mean? I salute Russell for that. And he means that. Like, he even DJs. You know what I mean? A lot of people that don't know that he DJs as well. You know what I mean? Versatile. Does karate. He'll kick your ass. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like Russell was real. Russell was real with it, man. Russell was real.
I was in Montreal like a couple years ago before the pandemic, of course. And I'm coming outside the hotel, and Lord Finesse and I think Naughty by Nature standing outside smoking a cigarette. I'm like, yo, what the fuck y'all got a show here? They're like, nah, we with Russell. I'm like, yo, how dope is that, man?
Yeah, that's
really only thing you fucked that story up. You said they was outside smoking cigarettes. Them motherfuckers wasn't smoking cigarettes.
Hey,
don't try to water the story. So tell me what you feeling in boxing. What setup do you want to see? Who do you want to see?
I'm all for the Crawford Spence fight. That's what I'm looking for. Or somebody in Devin Haney. Devin Haney and
Devin ain't ready yet, man.
No. What's the Spanish kid name?
Teofimo.
Lopez?
I wanted to see Lopez against Tank, and I wanted to see the kid. He big on social media too. I think. I want to say Ryan.
The pretty dude, Ryan Garcia.
Ryan Garcia.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
It's some real good fights coming down the pike. Because you got Ryan Garcia, you got Shakur Stevenson, you got Tank, you got Teofimo, and you got Devin Haney, all in the same division, all talking shit. So at least two of them gonna have to talk to each other in the ring. At least two.
Exactly.
And Rob, you absolutely right. Devin Haney ain't ready. He just talk a good game. He ain't ready. He ain't fighting nobody that we know.
He looked like Rondell Sheridan. Remember the comedian Rondell Sheridan? don't the motherfucker, is it me or Devin Haney look like the second coming of Rondell Sheridan? You never seen the motherfuckers in the same room together. I always thought they were related. I thought maybe later on it'll come out. I wasn't even saying for the joke. I really meant that shit. But we're in a good place right now.
I'm looking forward to what's going on in that division, and I'm looking forward to the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury, because they signed a 2-fight deal. So whoever loses the first one automatically gets to run it back.
Right, that's good. And you ain't gotta wait. You ain't gotta wait for them to put it together or nothing like that. The deal is already done. So that fight should take place probably like what, 6 months later?
That's the big question.
That should be the rule when you sign a 2-fight deal. If you lose, the next fight is the same fight, because that's what what's my man that just lost to Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. He had a 2-fight deal. He lost. The rematch was supposed to be right behind it, and then he was like, "I want to renegotiate. I want to fight somebody else first. It's like, dude, you signed the contract. What's the problem?
I thought they were supposed to fight again at the top of the year, January, February. I thought that was the pandemic threw things off.
No, he wanted to renegotiate the money. He wanted to. He fired Mark Breland. He had to He said he had to do a.
Oh, right. He got rid of Breland.
Get a camp going, and then when he pulled out, that's when Anthony Joshua was like, "Yo, I'll take the fight."
Yeah, I didn't even know that. That Wilder was the reason why they didn't have that next fight. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, he pulled out more to renegotiate all this. So you said, if this motherfucker's gonna knock me out again, I'm gonna have to sign for some more money.
Yeah, I know. He said my head is still hurting to this day.
I remember that fight when he got knocked out. I had taken my wife to see Ralph Tresvant. My wife loves Ralph Tresvant, so we went to go see him in Atlantic City. And then afterwards, we was in the spot. They would show the fight. And when that motherfucker got knocked out, you know when some shit don't look right? You know what I mean? It just didn't look right when he was on the ground. I was like, whoa, this shit don't look right. You know what I mean? I was like, that's what the beauty of the heavyweights. One punch changes everything. One punch changes everything. See, I come up and I remember, Tony, when we were younger, there's a time where motherfuckers fought each other. They fought every 4 months. There was a bunch, like a fighter, if you lost, that didn't mean nothing. When you lost, like Muhammad Ali lost, Sugar Ray Leonard lost, Roberto Duran lost, Tommy Hearns lost, but it almost made them more interesting when they lost.
Yeah, and that Tyson Evander Holyfield coming up too. They about to fight.
Nah, they say Evander Holyfield said Tyson turned down $25 million.
No, they signed today.
Okay, because I had heard yesterday that he said that Tyson turned down $25 million. I'm like, God damn, Tyson at this age is turning down $25 million? Shit, you could knock me the fuck out the first round for $25 million.
I'm surprised. That's a nice bit of money to make in your 40s for boxing.
Hell of a bit of change. Where you like to see your fights at? You like to go to Barclays, Vegas? Where you like to see your shit at, Tony?
Oh, that's my 2 favorite places. Yo, I'm telling you, I go to Vegas, but when I go to Barclays, yo, son, you would really think I was really famous in the Barclays.
Yeah, hell yeah, I can see
go to
that.
Barclays.
I can see the love that they give me, so I can imagine you.
Bad niggas. Yo, Tony Rock, son, I see you, son. Yo. Fulton Street in the building. I'm like, yo, what up, man? Yo, what's good? I have wifey with me. She be like, yo, like they really know you. I'm like, yeah, babe, I'm big in Brooklyn.
I can imagine because I know you sitting in the better seats than I am. You know what I mean? So, I got the concession nigga coming up to me. Peanuts, what up, Rob Stapleton?
Yo, look, let's get it on tape. Next fight at the Barclays when they let fans go, I got your ticket.
Oh, let's do it, man. Yo,
I'm here too. Yeah.
Look, I got you. We gonna go together.
Yeah. We gonna go eat. We gonna go do the fight. We gonna do the whole thing, man. It's being there. I've been to a few Danny Garcia fights. I've been to a few Spence fights. I only been to one Garden fight. I went to go see Crawford, but Tefimo was on the undercard and he stole that. That's when he knocked out the African dude.
You went to see Crawford. You went to see Crawford and Amir Khan.
Oh, you saw that one? Oh yeah.
No, that was at the Garden. You saw that one?
Yeah, no, I didn't know. That the only fight I saw at the Garden was that one, the one I said with Teofimo fought on the undercard of Crawford. And that was a good ass fight. You know, and the thing is, I had such bad seats for this, but it was so entertaining in between the fights with what they do on the screen. In the Barclays, you like on your own. They don't give a fuck until the fight begins. Yeah. But at the Garden, that shit was so interesting. Like what they did in between, I was like, yo, well, this shit is interesting. And I fucked around and had an edible before the fight. So I was sitting there like, yo, this is crazy. I enjoyed this shit.
You thought you was in the ring.
I watched, I got a Fire Stick. So I watch all the basketball games on a Fire Stick. And a lot of times on the channels I had on my last one, they wouldn't go to commercial in between commercial breaks and like in between halftime. So they would show what's going on in the arena. And when I tell you that, like throughout the NBA, the Clippers, they used to have like good shit going on the commercial breaks and for their halftime show, but the Barclay used to be lit. Yo. Like whatever they did, you know, as far as their production and shows and stuff, it was all, I was like, damn, they turned up in the Barclay.
Yo, Tony, man, anything you want to say on the way out, man? Thank you so much for coming through, man, on our first official Rob Stapleton podcast, fucking with me and Marshall, man. What you got going on? Anything you want to throw out there?
First of all, a pleasure doing this, man. Anytime you need me, I'm a phone call away. Follow all my social media. You're gonna put it up on the screen anyway. And go to TonyRockComedy.com. I'm having the site worked on as we speak, so it should be done soon. And I'll have the links to my t-shirts. You can buy a t-shirt. You can see my tour dates. Come out and see one of the best comedy shows you probably never seen before. You know what I'm saying? Rob, I thank you as always. Marshall, my man.
You always guaranteed to bring it, man. Tony, thank you so much, man. One more time, man. It's for anybody who I would wanted to do my first podcast, man. It's a pleasure having you, brother. You always keep it real. It was informative, insightful, and fucking entertainer, man. Thank you, Tone. TR Boogie. You already know, man.
Baby.
Thank you, brother.
Respect, Tony Rock. Respect, brother.
Yo, it's Rob Stapleton podcast, the hottest podcast going with my co-host, my brother, Mr. Marshall. Brandon Marshall, what's good, man?
Hello. What's happening, bro? How you feeling, man?
So what's going on in the news, man? I'm reading the other day, Kanye West worth 6-point-something billion.
Oh, man.
Do you understand if that is true, the something, if it's 6-point-something, that something is what half of this city will never see.
Right.
Just that something.
That whatever's after the point.
What's after the point? Motherfuckers throw that in 6-point-something. That something is everything.
Yo, man, I'm telling you, that's why I say you gotta watch who you calling crazy. You know what I mean? Because this dude,
Kanye.
Come on, man, $6 billion, and then you got people right now crying about a stimulus check, and Kanye worth $6 billion, but then they want to go on the internet and call him crazy. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Whatever that crazy is, I need to get shot with that crazy vaccine. If that's what they six.
And they,
okay, six. Hold on, just respect that.
That's a lot of money.
6-point-something. Let's say 6.5. Let's just round it out. $6.5 billion. And I guess most of the money, I think 3-point-something is, or 4-point-something is the Yeezy money.
They said it was the Yeezy money and the Gap money.
Yeah,
and the Gap, and Forbes is trying to hate on him because they like, well, he ain't sold no Gap clothes. Like he ain't like he ain't. Come on, man, stop playing, Forbes. Y'all hating.
Gap's gonna be popping, huh?
Come on,
clothes
man.
line come out?
Yeah. Gap already got, you know what I mean? You can already go to the Gap or Old Navy or whatever and find something slick to wear, you know what I mean? You ain't not like you're going to buy the whole store, but you can always find something in there. But
the crazy part about it is I had just gotten into stocks during the pandemic, me and my wife, and from what I read, the Gap was about to close. They were about to go out of business, because it's them, Old Navy, and they've been on the downside for a minute.
Right.
So they partnered up, which was a brilliant move with Kanye. And then they decided to set a date, I think this fall, the first line comes up. But right as soon as they did it, the stock just went up. You know what I mean? So it shows even through he plays crazy or does whatever, it's profitable.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And he put the time and work into the fashion industry, too. It wasn't like he just, like where it was like, hey, we just want to put your face on, like where, oh, okay, Rob, you famous. We want you to represent this special, these Adidas that's coming out. We already made them. Right. Like he's involved. He's heavily involved.
No, you're right. And you would think during this pandemic, the sales would be down. The sales went up because you got to realize in the pandemic, motherfuckers were at home wearing sweatpants and all that other shit. Right. Black people want to look good even in their sweatpants and in their shorts in the house and still purchasing Yeezys. I thought the sales would have plummeted, but the shit went up. Yeah. I guess motherfuckers felt like there wasn't going to be any long lines no more for the fucking sneakers. So it made the sales fucking go up. But that's crazy, man. What the fuck you think Jay-Z feel about that? Like, I think he was always Big Brother.
Right. I think that I think Jay is on his next thing a little more aggressively. You know what I mean?
Jay-Z been going hard. He just sold the Ace of Spades, or just had a merger with that. Mm-hmm. I would think that Jay's working hard doing all of these deals, and it seems like the other deals just come easy to Kanye, right?
Right.
He just bumps into some shit like, oh shit, oh shit. This is my $2 billion right here? This is my $2 billion. Oh man, $2 billion
fell out my pocket right there. I think Jay just sit back, take it in, he nod his head, and then go and keep building his fortune. Because Jay ain't never gonna stop making money.
Jay, that's the true hustler. True hustler. Another thing I got to say before we get out of here, man. Did you know, man? This is a crazy fact, man. And just one of the things that we do on the Rob Stapleton podcast is we're gonna hit you with some shit you may not know. Crazy facts. You got any crazy facts? I got a crazy fact.
Crazy fact.
People Google this and probably don't know that most candy bars, most chocolate candy bars, have at least 8 pieces of roaches in them.
Come on, man. I heard about that too. I think, that is. I hope that's not what make the chocolate brown. You know what I'm saying? I hope that's not.
No, this is crazy because right now, as I say, people are listening or watching the podcast probably they're going for some sensationalism and they're making that shit up.
Yeah.
No, this shit is real. It's at least, that's the crazy part. It's at least 6 pieces of cockroach portions in a chocolate bar.
God damn.
And there's like another percentage of grams that it will be in 2 candy bars. And the reason why it is because the places that they manufacture the cocoa, that's where they get infected.
That's where the roaches be at.
The only way they could keep the roaches from getting in there, Marshall, is to put more insecticide. So if they do too much insecticide, they can't sell the chocolate.
Right. So you're going to either take the roach or the poison.
You don't make
any
money.
Yeah.
So they say, fuck the insecticide. You know how crazy that got to be that you have to love chocolate to know that there's roaches in your fucking chocolate?
And the FDA say you can have a certain amount. So whenever they set a certain amount,
who's this motherfucker?
Right.
What's the guidelines?
Right.
For this
Like,
shit?
how do you be like, yo, all right, that's enough roach. You know what I mean? Can't have no more roach than that.
So a lot of people eat chocolate and they thought they were allergic to it because they would break out and other shit, but it's really the portions and the feces and the pieces of the cockroach that's in it that's making people break out, which is fucking crazy, man. That is crazy.
Man.
So when you give your lady some box of chocolates for Valentine's Day, what the fuck are you really saying?
Giving a box of roaches.
Here you go, you roach bitch.
Right.
Happy Valentine's Day, roach bitch. I'm not even going to go into hot dogs because hot dogs is all portions of rodents. And that'll be on the next podcast.
I stopped eating hot dogs a long time ago. Interesting facts, Tanina, Washington is giving out, if you're a resident of Tanina, Washington, because of the pandemic, to stimulate their economy, they printing up $200, I think it's $350. Each resident could get $300 worth of printed up wooden money. That's real shit. You could get $325, and I'm thinking about and that's community. You know what I'm saying? Because if you live there, you could get that money. But I'm like, that's gonna be real fucked up when you get to the strip club. You know what I'm saying?
$300 worth of wooden.
You could get $300
money?
worth of wooden money.
Individual money that's made for you.
Yes, they make up. I think they print up $25 wooden bills. Tanina, Washington. You could Google it. They give it. You know what I'm saying? But. Like you could get wood.
You can
walk
lie.
around.
You could deal with a motherfucker high and tell them shits is Bitcoin.
That's what I'm saying. I know that if motherfuckers accepting wood in that town, I'm showing up to the strip club with some logs. I'm gonna have mad logs. I'm gonna have beavers in there chewing off wood, throwing chips.
Break
at
down the
bitches.
qualifications and tell us the city again. What city is it?
Tanina, Washington. If you are a resident. You are entitled to up to $350 worth of wooden money that is accepted all over their town through all the participating, everybody taking wood, you know what I'm saying? And I just thought that was interesting as a motherfucker.
That's interesting as fuck. You could take that wooden money and buy some chocolates.
You
could have a hell of a fucking day. It's the Rob Stapleton podcast with my man Marshall Brandon, man. We see you guys on the next one. Nothing but love.